you have to take a hybrid perspective, because at some point, like, the MacKinnon and McDavid are having monster years, and like they're both absolutely deserving of the MVP. You can't hinder their case just because they have better teammates, but I
Yeah.
do think that you can elevate Celebrini's case because he doesn't have the talent around him.
Greg Wyshynski, our friend from ESPN, has his NHL Awards Watch on ESPN, and this brings us to installment 1,000,000 of what does this mean for Nathan MacKinnon's Hart candidacy. If you followed the show last year, you know that kind of no matter what was happening, whether Kirill Kaprizov was going off, whether Leon Draisaitl was going off, Nikita Kucherov, etc., everyone kind of wanted to make everything about Nathan MacKinnon, which far be it from us to say don't make everything about Nathan MacKinnon. He's one of the best players in the world. Unbelievable. Already a Hart winner in his own right. But there were moments last year where we were like, we sure we should be making everything about this one player where a bunch of guys are having good seasons? Wyshynski's Hart Watch has this. The leader, and by the way, for this project, he polls a bunch of Pro Hockey Writers Association voters or members, people who vote for the Hart, which is MVP. And the leader in this piece that went up this week, Nathan MacKinnon. Finalists, Macklin Celebrini and Connor McDavid. From Greg Wyshynski, or from a voter, quote, MacKinnon is just too critical to the Avs' success and has been the league's best offensive player all season. Until that changes, he's got this on lock. Quote, no matter how historically absurd Connor McDavid's offensive output in December was, it will take something really severe for MacKinnon not to be at the top of my ballot at this point, assuming the Avalanche continue rolling. Another MacKinnon backer revealed. Let's pause it at this "it's MacKinnon" part, and then I want to get to some Macklin Celebrini in a second, but at first blush, to see that people are saying it's MacKinnon or it's definitely MacKinnon. What do you make of that so far, Pete?
I mean, at this point in time, it's definitely MacKinnon. It is definitely MacKinnon. But that's to say that there's a lot of hockey left, and over the past month and change, McDavid has just been a monster. And if that continues, then it's probably McDavid.
Yeah, I lean MacKinnon, but I don't know if I go definitely MacKinnon. I think that if you lead the league in points and other weird shit isn't happening, you got a really good case to be the Hart, which is where obviously that favors right now for Connor McDavid. But if you're like pretty much the league leader in points and you lead in goals by a good amount, which MacKinnon's second in points right now, but he has 7 more goals than the next guy, I go MacKinnon. And obviously this season has been so much about like, oh my God, the Avalanche. So I get it. I wouldn't say I'd say it's more than a coin flip. If I voted today, it would be Nathan MacKinnon. If someone says who's been like the better player this season, I don't know what the answer to that question is, but given the Avalanche's season, given that he's close to the top in points and he leads the league in goals, yeah, I would go Nathan MacKinnon. But
does it account at all to you on your voting board that like all of MacKinnon's points are at even strength because the Avalanche can't do fucking dog shit on the power play?
I mean, you look at it two ways. If you're putting up insane numbers at even strength, it probably means you're the best player in the NHL or you're having the best season. However, if you can't really do anything on the power play, you're like, I'm giving this guy a Hart vote.
Yeah, it is funny because that's usually like the even strength points argument is usually made in an effort to raise somebody's case. Yeah. But it's like, well, think of how good his season could be if he wasn't ass on the man advantage.
Yeah. There's like some like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You can't.
So
you can't.
We're giving these guys. We're giving this guy extra points because he sucks up a man. That doesn't compute.
Fucking loser, Nathan MacKinnon. And we're going to put you. We're going to put you on the Canada power play. Fat chance. Not happening. I'm putting Celebrini on there instead of MacKinnon. I'm fucking kidding. We love you, Avalanche fans. So we're in agreement that Sean, you'd also say MacKinnon. Oh, there's also something to be said for like MacKinnon's been more consistent. McDavid's been there's an argument for McDavid's been better, but like MacKinnon's been more consistent. So like it feels more like a MacKinnon MVP year than it does a McDavid MVP year.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough for me because I tend to be across sports like kind of an MVP purist, and like I actually value, and it's like when you look at what the rest of Celebrini's teammates are doing, which is fucking nothing compared to what he's doing. Like and where they are like in a playoff or around a playoff spot, it's hard for me to argue that anybody's more valuable to their team. That like Nathan MacKinnon's more valuable to a team with Makar and Natchez and like all of those guys than Celebrini is with a bunch of, I don't want to say nobodies, 'cause that's disrespectful. They obviously have a lot of good players on that team, but like that guys that aren't performing to the extent of MacKinnon's teammates. Like, I don't know, but obviously MacKinnon's a better player, having a better season, so it's hard for me to say that you shouldn't reward him for that.
Yeah, that's where this gets interesting.
Yeah, I feel like you have to take a hybrid perspective. You have to take a hybrid perspective because at some point, like the MacKinnon and McDavid are having monster years, and like they're both absolutely deserving of the MVP. You can't hinder their case just because they have better teammates. But I
Yeah.
do think that you can elevate Celebrini's case because he doesn't have the talent around him. And the way that we've kind of talked about this in regards to like its historical relevance is, you know, the case that you always go back to is how Taylor Hall won the MVP with the Devils because he was so much better relative to everybody on his team. But also that year, there was no other monster case for the Hart. So like you were like, okay, let's just give it to this guy because he was clearly the most valuable relative to everybody else. But that other strong case exists twice going up against Celebrini this year.
Yeah, Wyshynski writes, everyone defines value differently when it comes to the Hart Trophy. One methodology, looking at a player's offensive totals within the context of those of his teammates. That's essentially what won Taylor Hall the Hart in 2018, finishing 41 points ahead of the New Jersey Devils' second highest scorer. Entering Monday night, Celebrini had 63 points in 41 games. The next highest scorer on the Sharks was Will Smith with 29 points. Celebrini has dragged the Sharks team to the playoff bubble. If San Jose makes it, he could win the Hart. And then there are voters who go on to say that that if the Sharks make the playoffs, quote, Celebrini has a real shot to overtake MacKinnon. I agree with every word that you said, Pete, which is like, if there's a year in which there isn't a dominant performance, then yeah, give it to the guy who's clearly better than everyone else on his team. And right now, Celebrini, halfway through the season, is on pace to be better relative to his team than Taylor Hall was relative to his team. So like Celebrini, I think, is going to put forth actually a better Hart candidacy than Taylor Hall did in 2018. But as you noted, the big difference is Connor McDavid or Nathan MacKinnon didn't have a cajillion points that season. And I mean, if McDavid keeps up the run that he's on right now, this all becomes a moot point because he's going to have 500 points and he's going to be the unanimous MVP and that'll be that. But what if like everyone just kind of holds their current pace, which is that McDavid ends up leading the league in points with a monster number. MacKinnon is right there and the Avalanche win the President's Trophy and do this, that, and the other. And then you've got Macklin Celebrini third in points, but so much better than everyone else on his team. There, I think that you can kind of reclaim the what does most valuable mean thing. And not to say that I have MacKinnon or McDavid fatigue, because I always want to see those guys do as much cool shit as they possibly can. But it'd be pretty fucking sick to see Macklin Celebrini come in and enter the picture.
And just because you don't have MacKinnon or McDavid fatigue doesn't mean that the writers don't. Like you see it in
Writers
the NBA.
definitely do.
Like you see it in the NBA. Well, LeBron should have 23 MVPs. He's the greatest player of all time. But there got a point where people stopped giving it to him because the bar got rose for him specifically. Like, and there's like I think about that all the time. Like there are humans that vote for it. And like how much credit is Macklin Celebrini gonna get simply for being a child while doing this? Like, and then all the other stuff that we've talked about, and like people potentially getting fatigued for either of these other guys. Like, that's why like when it gets to like predicting who's gonna win the awards, it's a very futile exercise. You really don't know like the actual motivations of the individuals.
Yeah, and last year we did see some. Wasn't there? I could be making this up, but like someone basically like admitted to like Draisaitl fatigue or something, or they were just like, oh, like it'll be one of the Oilers guys, or it could be this cool shit. And you're like, oh well, like one of those guys is the best player this season.
Celebrini's definitely the shiny new toy.
Yeah.
Celebrini's definitely the shiny new toy, but I also think that like McKinnon and McDavid have been so good, especially lately, that they kind of transcend voter fatigue, or they at least should. Those guys have just been insane to watch, as has Celebrini, but just to a lesser degree.
Yeah, I think that if you have, let me loop this all in. I think that if you have any sort of like Mahomes, LeBron, McDavid, Draisaitl, McKinnon fatigue, you're not allowed to vote on anything because there's just too good a chance one of those guys is going to be the best player in their league. Or like if you had like Shohei Ohtani fatigue, too fucking bad. Guy's the baddest motherfucker in the league. He's going to win. He's going to deserve to win the
right.
league.
And like and honestly, like if you're so bored by watching these guys play and so unimpressed because it's normal for them, you shouldn't have a vote because you are literally not impacting these guys' legacies.
Yeah, and we also have what we call the Glenn Close rule, which if you don't know, Glenn Close, very famous actor, has been nominated for a lot of Academy Awards and does not win. And every time Glenn Close gets nominated, people are like, it's her turn, give it to her. And every time we're like, we saw all these movies, Glenn Close does not deserve to win it this year. Maybe next year, but just because we're excited for Glenn Close, like you still have to actually win it and earn it. I do think that there will be temptation though. Like I probably would be. Fuck, I mean, no, I'd probably be tempted to vote for McDavid, quite frankly. But like, if Celebrini's right there, there is so much like, how cool is it that a teenager's doing this? If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to What Chaos here on YouTube. You will get everything, daily episodes, player interviews, and so much more. It's all here on the What Chaos YouTube. Hit subscribe.